can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey town. With a pucked up parents, frozen toes, big hearts, bad luck. With a pucked up parents, one more tourney, one more puck. We're broke, we're loud, we love this grind. Cause our kid just scored and we lost our minds.
Greetings and welcome to episode 15 of Pucked Up Parents. My name is Michael. With me, as always, is my lovely wife and mother of my two hockey playing boys, Angela. Angela, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm Angela, and we are the Pucked Up Parents and have been for the last 12 years. We are novice first generation hockey parents in a non traditional hockey town, talking to you about everything related to youth hockey and what we've learned and experienced during that time.
I consider myself a hockey moron. Despite being 12 years into it, I still consider myself dumb to the sport and still learning stuff to this day. Hopefully, you can learn something along with us or laugh at our ineptitude at this exciting, fun, violent sport we all call hockey. Angela, what happened last weekend? What did we do?
I was at a tournament all weekend.
Oh, that's right. You were in Michigan,
Holland, Michigan, right on Lake Michigan.
right on Lake Michigan tournament for the 12U. So our 11-year-old had a tournament. They did pretty good, you'd say.
Yeah, they played well. They were playing kids a little bit older than they are. Given that, and the kids were a lot bigger than they were, they played really well.
I watched a few of the games. They were broadcast on YouTube. Thank you to one of the parents. Don't tell Big Bear. I don't know if this is a Big Bear tournament, but anyway.
It
they were-
was not.
And another public service announcement from the Pucked Up parents. If you have a cowbell, when you drive back to your destination from the tournament, go ahead and roll down your window and toss that thing on out the window. Hell, throw it over a bridge. Get rid of the stupid cowbells. I may be offending some people. I apologize, but they are annoying. I rank them up there with putting rocks in a milk jug or people with annoying voices. But man, I heard that cowbell on that broadcast and I couldn't watch. I had to mute it.
Obviously, that wasn't anyone on our team, that was the team we were playing, but yes, there was a cowbell at one of the games. That was rather annoying, but otherwise, all in all, a good weekend, for the kids, up in Michigan.
Yep. And our senior, he's 17, he had a game originally scheduled and it got canceled because the other team didn't want to come up here. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, lose the game because last time they got beat 13 to nothing. A little bittersweet for us. That would have been his true last home game, his true last game of his senior year. And he was on the cusp of a few records with the team for the season and for all time. He's not going to get them because of this, but whatever. I guess life goes on.
Yeah, I don't know how those are all calculated, so we'll have to go back once the state championship is over and figure that out. I'm not gonna dwell on that too much, but he's had a really great season, and we're going into the state championship tournament, this weekend. So that's what we'll be talking about next week.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's going to be a divide and conquer weekend because the youngest has his last tournament up in Cincinnati, and the oldest has his state tournament in Louisville, Kentucky. So Angela and I will be dividing and conquering as a parents who have two kids in hockey, as you do. So anyway, let's get on to it. Short recap of last episode. What did we talk about last week?
Last week, we talked about the next level or paths for elite players. And the reason we talked about that was just because of the Olympics, and we had all watched the Olympic gold medal games for both the men's and women's U.S. teams, and just wanted to talk a little bit about how those players may have come out of youth hockey and gotten to where they are. Most of them are in professional leagues. There are a handful of college players on those two teams. So, wanted to talk a little bit about how that path goes, although that's really not ideal for most youth hockey players.
Right, it's expensive and it's a choose your own path, and there's so many opportunities out there. But your kid needs to be, I don't want to say worth it, but up to the skill level of the team they're trying out for, and you're going to get nickled and dimed along the way. Maybe worth it, may not be worth it. So
Again, the player has to be on truly a next level to end up on one of those elite level paths. So just as a word of caution, and we've talked about this many times on all of our different episodes, that really youth hockey is about playing and learning the game and gaining a lot of other life skills. It's not just where you end up, because there is a phrase within in hockey that all roads lead to beer league.
that's all right.
So eventually everybody's going to end up in beer league one way or the other. Just how you get there is going to be different for everyone.
You telling me Mighty Ducks 2 lied that my kid can't go from District 5 wearing football equipment on the rink to playing in the junior Olympic team, against Iceland in the finals? Are you saying they're lying to me?
Yeah, don't believe what you see on TV. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, what do we got today? I know we just talked about the state tournament, so that actually leads us into our topic. What's our topic for today?
Well, so I wanted to talk about tournaments, not necessarily the logistics around tournaments and how we get there and all of that, but there are a lot of end of season tournaments going on, and want to talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of a lot of these different tournament companies and what they offer and what you may see at a tournament that's generally offered by the tournament company itself, not what your team is doing for team building or where you're going to dinner or those types of things, but more about what happens through the actual tournament company and what you'll see when you're at one of these tournaments.
Go to any rink and look up in the rafters, and you'll see banners for the most random tournament championships. I know the bear one's big because when I first saw it, I thought it was the Bearstein Bears because it looks like the Bearstein Bears. I'm like, why do they have a picture of the Bearstein Bears? Oh, I think it was Big Bear.
That's Big Bear is the name of that tournament
They
company.
need a new
Yeah.
logo. It looks too much like Bearstein Bears, and I was not a big fan of them as a kid. All right, so what do you got? Tournament companies. Let's talk about them.
Well, we just mentioned one of them, Big Bear. We've seen tournament companies. Actually, the tournament we went to this last weekend was done by My Hockey. We have gone to Hockey Time production tournaments, S tournaments, One Hockey, 200x85 or 200 by 85, NAM tournaments.
So
Those are just all names of tournament companies out
is
there.
is the My Hockey the same as the My Hockey Rankings? Is that the same company?
They seem to be affiliated. I don't know that for a fact, but it appears to me that they are affiliated in some way,
By
shape,
the
or
way,
form.
all these names absolutely suck. As they got to do better, man. My Hockey, okay, that's like reminds me of iHeartRadio, which you can listen to our podcast on iHeart, but iHeartRadio is a terrible name. My Hockey is a terrible name. Where in the blue hell? And I've seen the emails because it's for some reason I'm signed up to their list. 200 by 85. What does that even mean?
Believe that has to do with rink dimensions.
Okay, so they took their name from a Greek dimension.
Yeah.
The marketing person who served that over must have been, gotten at a discount, and I apologize, don't sue the Pucked Up parents, we're just having a little fun, but 200 by 85, come on, seriously? That's all.
Yeah. Well, and let's go ahead and talk about all of the catchy names that they name these different tournaments that all have to do with either the season in which the tournament is. You'll have, the fall festival tournament or the spring fling or the winter ice, whatever. Or it has to do with the city in which it's in. So, like, all the tournaments in Chicago are Windy City something. We were in Michigan this weekend and it was Great Lakes something or another. And then they all
Uh,
end with Shootout or Smackdown.
Cleveland has the, Rock and Roll Cup because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I think Nashville
Right.
what's the cowboy thing they had? Some the country showdown or something like that.
Yeah.
Country hoedown? I don't think it was a hoedown. They got a catchy marketing name, and for good reason because they want you to buy the merchandise. Now I did a little thing on, ChatGPT. I thought I'd share it with you. If the Pucked Up Parents hosted tournaments, what would our tournament name be? So I've got a list here. I'm gonna go through them with you. You
Gee. Okay.
if they're good. So this is, tournaments if we, the Pucked Up Parents, hosted based on who we are. The Pucked Up Parents 6-hour drive and no heat classic.
Okay. That's a little wordy.
Well, they're all the Pucked Up Parents, but then the
Okay.
okay, so the Pucked Up
Right. But let's skip that part and just give me the
Alright,
catch line.
my next one, the No Hotel Points Invitational.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. These are really bad.
The Frozen Financial Ruin Classic.
Yeah, you need to get off ChatGPT
Hang on,
and
I'm not
write your own jokes.
Cold Rink Hot Credit Card Invitational.
Yeah, no, no, these are all terrible.
The Continental Breakfast Cup.
That's a little bit better.
The Why Are We Leaving at 4:15 AM Invitational.
Yeah, again, I'm gonna say you need to write your own jokes.
Hang on, I'm not done. So this is for all those serious parents who think their kids are gonna play, upper levels. My kid's definitely going D1 Invitational. That could be
Okay.
the 5 AM and 500 miles classic.
Yeah, no,
This is
no.
on the theme of the Olympics. We could have played them at home invitational. You're driving to,
That's a good one. I'll give you that one.
the Second Mortgage Showdown,
Okay.
the Which Rink Are We At Cup.
Okay.
The last one I had, the Zero Logic Rink and Hotel Location Tournament.
Okay, you need to write your own jokes, but we could do one that's called "Where Were We When" tournament.
That's good.
Yeah.
Alright, so the catchy names and each tournament costs money. Hockey costs
Yes.
money. Hockey always costs money. You just can't pick up the equipment and go play. It's gonna cost money. So what about the rinks? Or what about the tournament?
So, what I've found that the cost for team entry is generally at least $1,000 based on these tournaments, or it could be more. Just so parents don't kind of have a gut check on that. A lot of times, those tournament fees are already calculated into your team fees and your league fees. So it's not something that you're necessarily going to be paying out of pocket for. And you also have to remember that split between however many players are on the team, but still, it's a pricey endeavor to even enter in one of these tournaments.
We've been, we've picked up tournaments here and there late in the season. It's usually a notification from the coach saying it's going to be X amount of dollars or the organization's going to absorb the cost. But yeah, to Angela's point, most of your tournaments should be built in because when you sign up with a team, they generally say, okay, regular season games, here's the number we're going to play, and here's how many tournaments we're going to attempt to play at. Now, let's say it's $1,000 or whatever. Those come with guarantees. I mean, you have a guarantee at the tournament, despite what level team you're playing at. You have the guarantees. What are the guarantees?
It's a game guarantee. So typically, the tournaments are going to guarantee that your team is going to play at least 4 games. So, for whatever the fee is that you're paying to get into that tournament, you're going to get at least 4 games. Because they're going to have a potential, just depending on how many teams are in that tournament in your division and how the schedule is laid out.
Mostly tournaments occur over the weekend, and the schedule is pretty I don't wanna say it's wild, but there's a good chance it's on a Friday. The game's a Friday, 1 o'clock. It's 500 miles away, so you're yanking your kids out of school, and you may not be home until Saturday night. That's what drives me crazy is the scheduling of the games, the consolation games, and the championship games. The championship game to me always should be first on Sunday, but it's not. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're up in Michigan trying to get home to go to school the next day. So the schedules, would you say, are all over the place?
The schedules are definitely all over the place, and there's a lot of factors that go into the logistics on that. How many teams are playing in the tournament? How many different age divisions do they have? How many rinks are they using? There's a million different combinations, so you usually don't know what that schedule is gonna be until a week or so before, and then even when you're at the tournament, you don't know what that last game time is gonna be because of the way the scheduling and the standings work out. So you may have to wait until later on Saturday until some other teams have finished games to figure out when you're going to play on Sunday. And I will throw out there a lot of these tournaments that are run over the holiday weekends, particularly in January and February. So the MLK holiday weekend and the President's Day holiday weekend. They will start the tournament on Saturday. So it runs Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that way you're not missing work and school as much as you would be on a tournament on a regular weekend like we had last weekend where we needed to leave early on Friday morning to get there for a Friday afternoon game.
Let's talk about the state of play hotels. I mean, we've touched a lot on prior episodes about hotels, but everybody should know what a state of play is now. If you don't, go back and listen. But a state of play, basically, you're forced into a hotel, booked probably through the tournament itself. To they have blocked off hotel rooms. So let's talk about that. You got booking fees here. Are there additional booking fees outside of the hotel
Yes, with
prices?
some of these tournament companies, yes. So some of the tournament companies will send you an email saying you need to book. It's going to be, a $7 booking fee or it's usually a pretty minimal amount to book through their website or their travel agency. So some of these tournament companies also use a travel agency to book these hotels. It's not like you're just going to the Marriott or the Hilton website to book the hotel. You're literally booking it through some other portal, and sometimes they do collect fees for that, and it also makes it more difficult to change a reservation because of the way it's set up, because the hotel itself doesn't get that full reservation information until a week or so before you're going to show up. So if you need to make changes in your reservations, you have to go back and find that website or that email from that tournament company to go back and change your reservations. I just personally find that annoying just because it's harder to make any changes if you need to. You can't just pull up your app of the hotel chain that you use on a pretty regular basis knowing that you're going to be staying at one of those hotels. You can't just pull up the app and make the change. You've got to go through the tournament company.
Well, the hotel's never near the rink that you're ultimately playing at, or the rinks. I like to think that the, tournament directors pull up a map of Pittsburgh and the surrounding, I don't know, 250 square miles and just blindfold themselves and throw a dart, and they're like, "Oh, there's a Hampton Inn over near the Ohio border. We're gonna go ahead and book" Ohio border, I think West Virginia's closer. West Virginia
Yeah,
border,
West Virginia border. Yes.
and the kids are gonna play north of the city. It
Well,
blows my mind, and I get it.
you should have gone this weekend. The hotel was, like, 5 minutes from the rink.
Yeah, I just wanna
They
throw
were
one
only
at
playing at one rink. It was like a 5-10 minute drive. But, yeah, it varies. You never know what you're gonna get, in terms of where the hotel is and where the rink is. And some of these tournaments are playing at multiple different rinks. So you may sign up for the tournament in Pittsburgh, but you're playing at 2 or 3 different rinks across the city.
I
So
guarantee that
that's
that farthest
yeah.
rink away is the one that we'll have to play at 7:30 on the
It's
way it's what happens.
exactly.
Now the changes in reservations, we've talked about this on past episodes, but we've always watched for that minimum. How many nights do I have to book to be in the tournament for the stay to play? And then judge based on the first game, can we stay somewhere else the night before, like halfway drive up there? So make the decision on that. And Angela, you and I played this game and we've played it plenty of times. If your kid's team is sucking at the tournament, and there's a possibility that you're out of the entire tournament Saturday night, is it worth staying that additional night, and can you get out of the hotel room?
Yeah, and that's one of those things you have to make that decision on a case by case basis and look at what the schedule is and where the standings are. And sometimes that works out where you can get out of it and you can actually check out of that hotel without paying that additional night, but that's not the norm, I would say, but it's could be worth it if you find yourself in that situation where your player's team has gotten that 4 games in or 3 games in and it's not looking good and they're not gonna play another game on Sunday. You can definitely bail early if you need to.
I totally buttered up the, hotel concierge the last time this occurred. I was like, "Hey," it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is way past checkout time. I was like, "Hey, so, man, my kids lost their last game. We just wanna go home." She's like, "I'll take care of you, honey." Let us out of our Saturday night, like, got my money back, and Henry and I came home. Be nice to the hotel concierge for this reason and other reasons because, they can save you a few $100s if you decide to dip out on a Saturday night.
Which I wanna get into the next thing about hotels. Even this weekend, I got to the hotel, was checking in, they made me sign a waiver, kind of a rules and policies thing, that the hotel forces you to sign when you're coming in with the tournament.
Did you read
And
it or did you
basic
just throw your name on it like it's an Apple agreement?
well, in this particular case, the lady that was checking us in essentially read it to me. She read me all of the rules and was telling me no sticks in the hallways, no alcohol in public spaces, no gathering in hallways, no unaccompanied minors, no propping doors open. It was quite the list that she was rattling off to me as we were checking in.
They wouldn't let you drink in the lobby?
No, they said no alcohol in the lobby.
Did they have a bar there? Like,
No,
what are we,
no,
Amish country or something?
I don't know, but I got read the riot act of all of these rules, and I was like, "I've been a hockey mom a long time, I know what the rules are, thank you, just let me sign this and go on about my day."
I mean, I'm not a raging alcoholic here by any means, especially on hockey trips, but a cold beer in the lobby with the other parents is always something you kinda look forward to. I've never heard of a hotel just saying, "Yeah, don't bring your beer down here," but I can understand, I guess, people get rowdy and loud and
Right, and there were multiple teams staying at this hotel, so I can understand that, and, we've seen the situation where if the hotel has their own bar in the lobby, they won't let you congregate in the lobby unless you're actively purchasing from the bar, things along those lines. And during COVID, that was a whole 'nother issue when we were traveling during COVID because you weren't allowed to congregate anywhere. We could do a whole episode on COVID hockey because that was really weird. Now that we're coming up on the 6th anniversary of that, we might wanna do that sometime soon. But anyways, just, wanted to point out these hotel rules and waivers and everything.
not all the things everything's hotels negative because 'cause I've been to hotels for tournaments, and they've given little gift bags to the kids with candy,
Yeah.
and then also you have the hotels that don't have continental breakfast, that have a pay for breakfast, but we incorporate our pricing with we get like a voucher to eat breakfast, which is super nice.
Yeah, it's not all bad news, but it's just something to be aware of if you've not traveled with a hockey team for a tournament, that you will see some of those kinds of things.
Just behave. Behave at the
Yeah.
hotel. Act like you got some sense and corral your kids as best as you can.
Yeah, for sure. The next thing I want to talk about is the tournament websites and apps. When you get closer to that tournament weekend and you still haven't seen the game schedule, you can start searching the tournament website. And a lot of these tournament companies have their own apps as well, where you can check game schedules, results, standings, even stats, player stats they'll collect on these websites and apps.
Yay, another sports app for my kids' sports. Yay, that's what I need. Another one.
Download it for the weekend, look at it for the weekend, and then delete it when you're done for the weekend. It's not a big deal.
All right.
Those apps also have, and the websites too, will have all of the tournament rules. So, in addition to the USA Hockey rules, a lot of the tournaments will define within their own rules what the length of the period is, how standings will be calculated, how ties and overtime will be handled, what a mercy rule or a running clock rule would be should, your team get in that situation. All of those rules are typically outlined on that tournament website or the app if that particular tournament has one.
And the rules vary a lot tournament by tournament. I'll give an example. Our state tournament last year for Kentucky, if you went to overtime, which we did a couple times, and it went to 3-on-3. Am I not mistaken on that,
It
Angela?
went to 3-on-3, yeah.
Someone scored, and then it was handed to the shootout. So it went to the shooters and the goalie. We won the first one. We lost the second one, and as a result of that, I think the Kentucky State changed the rule because it was unfair to put the game in the hands
N
of just a few players.
Well, put the state championship in the hands of a few
Yeah,
players.
for example, is a defenseman, so he had to sit on the sidelines and watch as the shootouts occurred on both games. It just to me, the 3-on-3 is the best way to go, and let it continue. Let them continue to play until somebody scores something.
Well, and that's a situation of a state championship, but some of these other smaller tournaments, like the one we were at with the 12Us this weekend, it doesn't matter at the end of the day who's going to win that tournament. It doesn't determine anything else other than who was the better team that day. Whereas, a state championship situation, that's going to determine who moves on to nationals and other things. I think it's just important to check those rules so you kind of know what you're getting into. Also, it helps to know how the standings are calculated so that you can try to speculate and figure out when that final game is going to be and whether you can leave the hotel on Saturday night or if you're going to be around Sunday all day
You're
waiting.
you're in the parking lot doing math. Let's see, we won one,
Right.
tied the second one, but we were beat by 4 on the last one. The other team divide by 3, carry pie. We can go home tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. But that tournament app or the tournament website is helpful in that speculation game of who are we going to play in the final game and what time is our final game going to be. So just want to point out that those things are out there and available. And sometimes it's good to have that handy so you can pull it up. Oh my gosh, we're at the end of the game. The game's tied. How are ties handled in this particular tournament? Because some tournaments will allow the game to end with a tie because the way they calculate standings will be based on who won each. You get points on who won each period. So there's just different ways those things are calculated, and you need to be aware of that so you're not griping about something you know nothing about.
When you get into these large tournaments with multiple age levels playing at the same rinks and everything, they are turning and burning, man. They want you off that ice. They'll even put up there's some tournaments where they'll put up a clock that says like 1 hour, 30 minutes, and that's it, man. You can play overtime or you may tie, but if that hour and 30 is up, you are off the ice no matter what we've seen it with and on the same side, like we've celebrated victories and the kids want to go out there and take pictures and everything else. And then that Zamboni is ready to come out because there's another tournament game that has to start up immediately. So
Right, and they're shuffling the kids off, and they're gonna do the medal ceremony or whatever in the rink lobby. We've got pictures of medal ceremonies and trophies in rink lobbies because they've ushered us off the ice because they wanna get the next game going, which I also appreciate being if I was the next game to
yeah,
supposed to start at whatever time, I appreciate that because I want my game to start on time. I don't want it
Yeah,
to push back the entire day.
I've been that. Congratulations. You get the hell off the ice. All right, yeah, all right. That kid already took a picture of the trophy. Put it down. Let the other kid do it. Let's get out of here. And then the Zamboni guys are revving the engine. Revving the engine. I think can you rev can you rev the engine on a Zamboni? Is revving the engine to try to get them off so we can start the next games. So let's move on to are we there yet? What have you got for that? The tournament
The,
host
the
had stuff.
Yeah, the tournament check-in and the tournament trinkets, as I like to call it. So some of these tournaments, when the team manager or the team coach goes to check the team in for the first game, they're gonna get a box or a bag of
Crap.
swag, merch,
Stuff you just
trinkets,
throw
whatever
away.
you wanna call it, junk that you wanna throw away. I would be willing to bet we have probably 30 pairs of sunglasses with one of these tournament companies' name on the side of them. We have water bottles,
We have a
drawstring bags.
drawstring bags are huge. We have a large collection of drawstring bags, which are very popular amongst the hockey tournament people.
Yeah, and those little plastic bracelets, that have things written on them.
So I throw away
Um,
whenever Henry gets home from a tournament. Yeah, throw 'em away.
right, right. Yeah, all of that stuff. Bag tags, that's another one. At one point, our oldest had, I don't know, probably 12 or 15 ratty looking bag tags with different tournament catchy names on them.
Yeah, I remember the big bear one because I remember the bear Steve Bears were on it. And then
Yeah.
something we briefly, I don't want to say we briefly got into, but we were briefly approached about for a couple tournaments is the pin exchanges. Explain that. And mind you, that is all over social media. People are like, "Hey, I left a tournament up in Minnesota. We didn't get a pin exchange. Does anybody have one?" So this is a big deal, and I don't think we ever got with it.
We did a little bit, and I think the tournament that we did a lot of that on, there were a couple of them, I think. One was the Silver Sticks tournament, which is a big kind of traditional hockey tournament, where they have different regions, and if you win your region, you play in a national tournament. We did that one time many years ago, and I think that was a popular place where we did the pin exchanges.
Silver Sticks had their own. I remember Silver Sticks had their own pins.
Yes, Silver Sticks has their own
We're
pins too.
advised we need, like, pins representing your team, so you need a Cincinnati
Right.
Swords pin to exchange with the kids from Long Island.
Yes, and that's what we did. So our team, I guess the teams, I don't honestly don't even know where they came from, but I remember the team manager handing out our team's logo pins to all of our kids to then go trade with other teams. It's definitely a thing. It's not something that we've gotten super involved in over the years, and I do remember Silver Sticks was a big one, and the other one might have been there was a tournament we used to play, this has been, again, many years ago, pre-COVID, where we played in Michigan, and we always played against Canadian teams. So it was, I'm trying to it was called Nations Cup, and your US team always played Canadian teams, and that I think that was another one where we did pin exchanges, but it's been quite some time. But I don't think that's as popular in our region as it may be in some other regions.
I see it everywhere, and I keep thinking of Animal House with the pledge pin. What's that on your uniform? Niedermeyer?
Well, you remember, like, the Disney pins are a big trading
Mm.
thing, and then a lot of these, or international tournaments and things, like the Olympics, they do a lot of pin exchanges and pin things around the Olympics and some of the other international athletic competitions.
So along with the pins, the tournaments also again, another rare thing that we've seen is the interactive skills competitions. In other words, you're not just playing games, they have like a special few hours set aside on maybe the Saturday night where the kids can get out there and compete against one another. So your team will say, "Okay, we need to pick the fastest top 2 skaters of our team and they're going to compete in the skills competition." It's sort of like the NHL All-Star game where they have the skills competition. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think that's a great example of it or a great analogy. We've seen it a handful of times. It's not super common, but it's a lot of fun when the kids do
Yes.
get to do it. And essentially all the kids on the team get to compete in some form of a skills competition. If I remember correctly, there was fastest skater, fastest backward skater. There were some other,
I think
skating skills where they
wasn't
had to
there a
go through
wasn't there a
cones.
goalie race? Like, the goalies are racing in their goalie gear?
Yeah, and then they did, like, a full-on relay race between all of the kids, and I remember at least one coach had to participate too in
Yeah.
one of them. So it was, like, one of the coaches had to be, like, the anchor leg of the relay race,
It's
so
I thought it was nice because it breaks up the monotony of the weekend, and it gets all the families and all the players together in the venue and cheering their people on. It's very competitive. And even if your team is awful, you might have the fastest skater, or you might have the most dominant, best shooter on the team, and they're going to come home with a little bit of prizes, even though they don't win the tournament. So it breaks to me. It's great in breaking up the monotony of a tournament weekend.
I think it's just an added fun piece to a tournament. If you find yourself at a tournament that's gonna host something like that, I think it's a lot of fun. And, you mentioned individual awards. I wanna mention that a lot of these tournament companies will also hand out awards for the goalie if they get a shutout. They
Yeah.
get some sort of special award and their picture taken and posted on that tournament company's website. Same thing if a kid gets a hat trick or a playmaker, those types of things that the players can get individual awards.
We were in Nashville for a tournament early on when Sam started playing, and he had scored a hat trick, and they pulled us aside and were like, "Go see it when he's off, go see a tournament head, they'll give you a puck." I'm like, "What for?" They go, "Well, he got a hat trick, so he gets a hat trick award." Be aware that these tournaments do offer some cool stuff if your kids make good achievements. Now, on the flip side of that, let's talk about, well, no, the winter swag. What about the
Yeah, the winter swag. Yeah. So, if you win one of these tournaments, even if it is just the Lando Lakes Classic shootout showdown cup
the butt
in, middle of nowhere,
butter people have a tournament?
I don't know.
You thought my tournament name were stupid. Orlando
Okay, well,
Lake?
I'm coming off the cuff here, but even if it's a tournament with 4 or 5 teams in it, the winner of the tournament's still gonna get some sort of a winner swag. And you mentioned earlier the team banners that often get hung up at the rinks, but then oftentimes the kids get individual medals. We've seen individual little miniature versions of the banner given to the individual kids, team trophies. We've even seen a little individual plaque kind of thing.
Those medals, you could tell how much money's into that tournament or how much they wanna spend based on those medals. Because 'cause we've been to tournaments that are, like, prestigious look like they're prestigious, and the medal's like a dinky, the size of a silver dollar, and then other ones are like the size of a hubcap and solid metal. But then you get into some of these tournaments where you're playing the tournament same tournament not the same tournament every year, but the same tournament sponsor, and you're like, "Oh, it's just a variation of the same medal he got last year." Which is it's not cool. I've always liked the cup. We never got the cup
Right.
trophy, like the Stanley Cup trophy where they could skate around with it. We never got that. We did get the trophies. Here's a piece of advice that
Well, they've gotten some trophies, yeah.
they've gotten trophy no, I'm talking about the ones that look like a little Stanley Cup, like with the cup on top, the bowl or the
Yeah, no, they haven't gotten any of those. Yeah, no.
piece of advice if your team wins a tournament and they get the banner for the rink, I always think this is cool. I think, Northern Kentucky does this a lot. Let the kids sign it, autograph it. Let them put their name on it, sign it somewhere and then hang it in the rafters because it's really cool years later to go back and see our kid's 17, but see a banner that he had won when he was 9, and there's his little 9-year-old handwriting up there with his number written down. So if you win a tournament and you get the banner, encourage your rink and your coach to let the kids autograph that banner that they're gonna hang up.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. So let's move on from all of the tournament swag, the things that the tournament's gonna give you for entering the tournament, and talk about the tournament merch table.
Get out your wallet because you haven't paid enough. So yes, that's you get that as soon as you walk in the tournament merch, and you'll get caught up in it. We did. So what's your opinion of the tournament merch? I'm kinda, not really vibing it.
No, we've very rarely purchased tournament merch. To me, it is all overpriced t-shirts and hoodies. Your
T-shirts look like,
kid's gonna
when I was a kid, we used to get, like, He-Man iron-on labels that you could iron on your T-shirt with your mom would iron it on. That's how Chin's
Yeah.
looked at me. They look like they're crappy iron-on. I'm not disrespecting any tournament heads, but they're not the best things in the world. So
Yeah, and they're incredibly expensive. I find that they're way overpriced, and your kid's gonna outgrow it. And I think the 1 or 2 t-shirts or hoodies we bought, especially when they were younger, A, they outgrow it really quick, or B, they're gonna ruin it. And hey, now you have an $85 hoodie with a ketchup stain on it.
you don't scare me. I play hockey. But a part of me, especially early on when they're super young, is especially for our kids, it's a humble brag to wear that shirt. So our kids' schools don't have hockey programs. So our kids get to go there and wear, hey, I'm wearing a Michigan championship shirt for hockey tournament that I played in. So I understand that, but also the cost and the chintziness of it, of how it looks. Now, what I will get with are the photographs. We've had huge success, in my opinion, with the tournament photographs. So much so that there's one of our child, or 17-year-old, his team at, like, I don't know, 11 or 12, still hanging in his room to this day. So, what's your take on the photographs?
I think the photographs are hit or miss. I think it really depends. I think a lot of times they can be overpriced, depending on what they are. You can get everything from, hey, here's a digital download of your team's first game. Here are all the pictures, and it's, this price. And they have all of the different other things where they will print the photo for you. They will put it on a plaque. You can get all kinds of stuff with that, but just know that it's going to get expensive quickly. And then think about if you buy one of these photos at every single, or one of these plaques or something, every single tournament or game that your kid goes to, you're going to have an entire room like with
Remember Meet the
hockey plaques.
remember Meet the Parents of Meet the Fuckers spinoff where they had the wall of skateboard with all his license?
Yes.
Like, is that a 5th place trophy up there? Yeah, it is. That
Yeah.
that's Sam's, silver stick where they came in 6th place. I framed his T-shirt that he got, made there. Now,
Yeah.
on the flip side, and we have our hockey tournament and then USA Hockey, which we went to nationals last year with our teenager, and their merch was actually really good. Like, I think you bought a tumbler. We bought a T-shirt because it was commemorative. It was a big deal that they went to USA National. So if it's a big deal tournament, then yeah, go ahead and purchase something to remember it by. But
Yeah. I think,
you need a Big Bear, we played in Pittsburgh, T-shirt? Probably not.
yeah, the Big Bear Bridges tournament from Pittsburgh, March of
And Mark,
2026.
where your kids lost 20-0 and you left by 7.
Right, yeah, just be aware that they're out there, and all of that stuff is add-ons and you're paying for all of it. And you mentioned the USA Nationals last year, and I think this is happening. I think the company is Black Bear that is, I don't know if they run tournaments, but I know they run some rinks. And they have some pretty serious rules against spectators filming or taking
Yeah.
pictures, which is a big issue. And they're not allowing you to stream your games. You mentioned earlier that both of our kids' teams stream their games on YouTube now. We used to stream on Facebook. We streamed on, I don't know, several different platforms over the years, which is really helpful when you're in a situation like we are and it's a divide and conquer weekend and one parent's with one kid and the other parent wants to watch the game.
And you also had Live Barn, which was basically just a steady not a steady cam, but a camera that followed the action on the ice. But yeah, to your point, that Black Bear is kind of you're hearing stories about them pushing that out and enforcing the recording of games, which to me is silly. I don't understand it. I mean, geez, these are kids. Let us record our kids. Can you imagine that being like a baseball or basketball or football for little kids?
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and I will mention too, when we were at USA Nationals last year, we weren't allowed to film or take any pictures.
I didn't take any pictures, but I did text my mom while there quite a bit, just notes.
Right. And, they had professional photographers and they had their own streaming service that you had to pay for that tournament. You would have to pay to log in to kind of behind a login site that you had to pay to actually watch the games for some of the parents that didn't make the trip or the grandparents or whomever that wanted to watch the games. You couldn't just film, "Hey, my kid just scored a goal. I wanna film the celebration." You couldn't do any of that, and I think there's some tournament companies that are probably gonna start trying to implement that too, and I don't think it's a great practice.
I'm gonna, make a GoPro T-shirt, have a little GoPro.
Like a spy cam?
Yeah, like a spy cam. I'll be sitting in the rafters with a spy dressed in camouflage at an ice rink. Now,
Yeah.
aside from all of that, you also have some fun like, occasionally, the tournaments will do fundraisers. I know there are some charity tournaments out there, so they do, like, a split the pot or the baskets, popular here is
Does
a basket of bourbon or a wheelbarrow of bourbon. But yeah, they're raising money for some good cause.
I think that's you see that a lot at these tournaments where they have it's a silent auction, whether it's signed jerseys or hockey cards or other sports
Oh, the
cards, those
hockey
kinds
card,
of things.
that draws in the kids, especially the rink rat kids, like
Yes.
holy cow, that's I don't know who thought that up, but that was genius because, man, those kids love it and swarm to it. Our kids are not really big into collecting cards, but those things usually like 5 or 6 kids deep.
Right. Just, other things that you're going to see when you walk in the rink at one of these tournaments, particularly the tournaments that are put on by these larger companies.
So I see your list of rules here, and we talked about no photography, no streaming, et cetera. And we talked about how if you have a cowbell, you should knock your head over with it and throw it out the car window. But no noisemakers? You've seen that rule?
I've not seen it enforced, but
Do
I
they have
have
like a
seen
list like
that
no cowbells,
as
no
written, like,
kazoos,
no
no?
noise ma I don't know that it was that specific, but a lot of times there is within the tournament rules, spectator rules that say no noisemakers, and I've been in rinks where that's been posted as well, no noisemakers. And it's not just the cowbells. We were at a high school game earlier this season where a guy had, like, a horn attached to, like, a cordless drill, and it made, like, the horn noise
You know,
when no, 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 like, when a hockey
like a
player scores and it's the horn for a score, that's the noise this thing made, and the guy was sitting in the stands with it, so I think that qualifies as a noisemaker. I don't even know what it's called, but definitely a noisemaker.
you know whoever that guy is, he's so proud of that thing. Check out my DeWalt horn maker that I bring to my kid's hockey game. Meanwhile, this kid probably flipping hates the damn thing.
Yeah, I don't know, that was a first, I'd not seen that one, but I did see that this year at a high school game. And rinks have their own rules too. I was just kind of running through some of the tournament rules that I've seen, but of course, there are individual rinks that have rules against certain things as well.
Pump your brakes on that because I think we have an episode in us where we talk about the rink. So we cover like look, feel, flow of the rink from the Zamboni driver to the rules that the rink enforces to what the bleachers are made out of. So we'll get into that later on. Life moves pretty fast. We've covered a lot here. Your reflections on tournaments. What do you think?
I think it's so exciting when your kid's team wins a tournament. And at the end of that tournament, no matter what it is, no matter how many teams they've beat or, how they played or whatever, they're going to get excited. They're going to toss their gloves in the air and they're all going to skate together in a big swarm and hug their teammates and tackle their goalie. And I think that's always exciting. And it's a feeling that's at least kind of unique, I think, to me as a parent. And it's always gonna be fun.
But on the flip side, you have the agony of defeat for the same game where your kid's on the losing end. Maybe they give up 2 goals in the last 30 seconds. So we've been on both sides. So
Right.
and the downs of the tournament loss and the tournament victory. Now, I am guilty of this because I'm already a ball of nerves. I mean, my God, again, I could crawl through a fire as a firefighter to rescue someone, but if we're up by 1 point with 1 minute left on a, tournament game that's the final, chances are I'm taking a walk, and that walk might be outside because the stress just destroys me. But when I hear the cheer break out, I'll run in there and everybody's celebrating it. This is an awesome feeling. And we have 2 walls of medals in our kids' rooms that prove that these tournaments are fun, a blast, and we've seen some good results out of them.
I've seen some statistics lately about if you're watching your kids play sports and your heart rate goes up, does that count as a workout too? Last year
Big
during
tournament.
the state tournament, and it got to a shootout, and my heart rate monitor on my watch was like that it was the highest heart rate that I'd had all like in an entire year. Like my heart rate hadn't gotten like even in a workout, my heart rate hadn't gotten that high.
It gets that high when I take my shirt off though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I remember that now. In these tournaments, they're a good time to network, to meet other parents, to meet parents outside your area, to meet teams from I mean, we've played teams that flew up from Vegas. We've had teams dip in from Canada. So it's really neat to see you're not just sometimes you're not seeing your own little pocket of teams that you play in your region. You're seeing teams from across the country, and that in itself is fun. And as a people person, I like to meet other parents from way out from Vegas or whatever. So it is a good opportunity to network and it even gets your kid's name out there. So the kid, they're gonna see your kid's name or your team's name and recognize them later on down the road if they ever run across you again. With that said, Angela, tip of the week. What do you have?
Uh, Tip of the week, hockey's expensive enough. Don't go broke buying tournament merchandise and photos.
Sneak the photos and make a homemade t-shirt, I guess, or go buy a Put Up Parent t-shirt.
Well, you've already got all of your team merchandise. You don't need to buy you don't need to buy a t-shirt at every tournament you go to, I guess is my point.
Oh,
And, we talked about that a little bit earlier,
they took an amazing picture of Henry with flames on his stick and it's in black and white. Gotta have it 8 by 10.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
right
that
right
kind of
there.
stuff, and I've also seen some things on social media. I'm wearing the same pair of jeans that I've had since 2008, but I just bought my kid an $85 tournament hoodie.
The hoodies are insane. That's yeah, yeah. All right, so don't go broke buying tournament stuff. Don't get nickel and dimed, and beware photographers where they're not allowed. Sneakily, you're quote unquote texting, and more importantly, have fun. It's tournaments are
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun time to connect. It's a fun time to connect with the hotels if they'll let you bring alcohol in the lobby, which Angela did not get. So, Angela, with that said, let's get to our outro.
I appreciate everybody listening along. If you have any funny stories or any crazy tournament shenanigans, let us know. We want to hear about it. We'll talk about this some more. There's so much more we can talk about in terms of traveling and tournaments, but I just wanted to go ahead and get some basics out since I just had that experience this weekend. But please follow, subscribe, share, leave us a comment or question on whatever platform you're listening on or on Facebook or Instagram.
I agree, and buy some merch. We have merchandise. I'm not pushing it on you like a tournament is, but if it's out there, if you want any merchandise, look on our Instagram page, look on our Facebook page. I also want to give a plug. We do small businesses. Angela and I, we love the youth hockey community and the small businesses. A dad and I think his son released an app. It's called Game Day Bites, and what it does is it has rinks in it. So your local rink or the rink you're going to for a tournament and it'll help you pick out restaurants around there that are recommended for hockey players. How many people will hold or what people recommend. So download it. It's Game Day Bites. And with that said, you're not the only one out there lost and confused. Angela and I are here to help or maybe confuse you more, but keep your stick on the ice. We are all in this together. Thank you.
Up before dawn, can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey.